All right, so the washer nozzles are also loose. They're supposed to be clipped on to the washer. You see the hose, they're kind of just hanging there. Not a big deal. You need a zip tie or something to re-secure it. And then also the mirror is cracked. The bottom lower mirror on the right side is cracked. Okay, now we're in the vehicle, and there's a few things I want to note. I'm going to start the car. It starts up really well. It's a little noisy, but it seems like everything's normal. That's the sound, I don't know if you heard it, that the radio makes. Let's see if I can do it again. So that's some sort of, maybe something stuck in there, or binding. Everything looks good on the cluster. Tire pressure monitor is blinking. So there's a code in the system for one of the antennas that is malfunctioning. So that's probably the issue. Let's see if the heat works. It is cold over here. I don't know how it is in California, but it's cold down here. All right, the floor. I noticed that this carpet here, someone installed it. They put screws in it. Underneath that carpet is this padding, which is normally installed in these cars. It's a rubber mat that's contoured to the floor, and that's the floor. There's a hole in underneath the carpet. I felt it underneath with my hand. So I don't know if they did the same thing on that side to make it look like it matches or what, but that side is definitely has a hole underneath the carpet. All right, so that's that. Everything looks pretty clean on the dash. Looks very clean. They cleaned it all up. The seats look pretty good. There's a little hole in this seat. I think there's the same in this seat. A little hole there. Overall, for this many miles, the seats are in pretty good condition. All right, and then you have the racks in the back. I don't know. Let me see if I can turn the lights on. Probably in the back. Alright, so one of the lights are working, the other ones aren't. You have your racks in the back. I noted that some of the racks are staying up, some of them won't stay up. The bottom ones have this bracket. Can't really see, it's dark. But there's a bracket to hold the racks when they go up to fold them out of the way. This one I think stays. It'll stay out of the way. Maybe it's tight enough. I don't know if it'll fall. But the other ones I think all fall right back down. Alright, you have the glass on this car, which a lot of times they don't have it. There's also the door is missing from this metal divider or bracket. It does have the supports to tie things down, which is a nice thing. Not all the Sprinters have it. And yeah, I think that overall that's the assessment of the vehicle. See if the heat is coming on. I noticed it didn't feel like too hot before, but yeah, it feels a little bit warmer now. I did take it for a road test. Once it shifts from second to third, it feels like it makes a little bit of a vibration noise, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the transmission. It might be some just worn bushings, or over time they've kind of worn out. I also looked underneath the exhaust, underneath the car. The exhaust has been welded. I'll try to send a picture of what I took from underneath the vehicle. The exhaust is welded, and the exhaust is welded where there's a flex tube. So instead of replacing the whole component, they welded it. It doesn't look the greatest weld. Might even be slightly leaking, but it's still sealed. And there's another section of the exhaust a little bit further back that must have had a hole or rusted, and they put another sleeve over it and welded on top of that. Overall, the car mechanically looks like it's in pretty decent shape. It looks like the engine hoses, the coolant hoses were replaced because they have a lot of aftermarket clamps that are not from Mercedes. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it looks like someone has been doing some work to it. Also, there are a few codes, and the codes are decoder antenna doesn't respond. The tire pressure monitor, that's the one I mentioned before. And then the temp sensor is hanging from the outside temp sensor is just hanging. It's not a big deal. It can probably be resecured. And then there's a code for code 2510001Y771, which is the boost pressure regulator. That's probably the biggest thing that I noticed. I believe, if you want to do some research on that code and see what's going on, but I believe that the boost pressure regulator is, it says there's a positioner fault. I think that's attached to the turbo. So I think in order to replace that, you have to replace the turbocharger, and that can be pretty expensive, a couple $1,000s at least. Alright, so overall the car does have some physical damage to it. I mean, it's expected for this type of mileage and this age. There was a couple spots underneath the car where it looks like it might be a little crushed from someone lifting it in the wrong position, but it doesn't look like it's causing any structural issues. It drove pretty smooth, it shifted pretty smooth. Make sure the wipers work. Yeah, you can see the hoses kind of hanging there. That's what I was talking about. They just got to get zip tied or secured. And so you got your lights. Alright, visor works. Windows both work. Locks work. And I think that's pretty much it. Alright, good luck with your purchase, and I hope you can take the time to write a review about us at benshops.com, and just search for Nomad in the 08879 zip code. Thanks.